Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie a polywing Adams. If you have trouble tying hackle tips in on your Adams fly, just take a piece of white polywing and a Sharpie and put a couple bars on there, and you'll have your Adams wing. This particular piece of polywing, it is actually the core of a hoodie string, and this is a single core. I didn't have to break it down. I didn't have to divide it or anything like that. I'm going to start out by taking my thread back halfway from the eye of the hook, and then I'm going to come forward half of that, and that's where we're going to put our wing. Just going to take that wing, and you can see there we go, two black bars, and that is the height that we want our wing. Just give it a loose loop, pull it straight down. I'm holding it pretty tight right now. Give it another one, and add a couple more just for security. Then you can go ahead and trim this off at an angle. Now we're going to go ahead and bring our thread back to the rear position. And we're going to stop the thread right where the thread would hang at the barb. Now for the tail, I'm going to take a Grizzly hackle. I just picked this off, so I'm going to go ahead and strip all of the fluff and soft feathers off it. Let's go ahead and throw those in the trash, or towards the trash can. And I'm going to take this, and there's a lot of soft web in there still. You can see all that web, but for the size of the wing we want, there is plenty of stiff fibers on there on the top. Then I'm going to take a ginger hackle. This is a barnyard hackle, and you can tell it's actually almost a Cree feather. But I'm going to use this bottom section. I'm going to stand those up at a right angle also. Then I'm going to take them both, and I'm going to line the tips on them. They're not quite the same. They're not quite the same length, but stand them up at the right angle, and then I can lay them, the Grizzlies, on top of the ginger and pull them all off at the same time. Now we have a nice mixed tail right here. I'm going to measure the tail. It's a little bit wide right now, but when I grip it, it's going to go back to nice and thin. Okay, so I know that's the length I want, and I'm going to trim this before I try to tie it in. And I'm going to trim it pretty close to where I'm going to tie it in at. Go ahead and holding it tight. Loose loop straight down, another loose loop, and there we have our tail, the length we want. And you can go ahead and put a couple wraps on that to secure that. Back that one off there. Now I'm going to turn the vise a little bit sideways so that I can dub without bumping into my vise or the point of the hook. Now I'm going to take Adams gray dubbing. This is super fine dubbing, and I'm just going to pick just a very little off there. Get a little, and it's just a very, very little. When you take dubbing, it should float in the air like a piece of dust. You can see, I'm going to wet my fingers there just a little bit, and that that dubbing is barely bigger than the thread itself. Just another small little pinch. I want to make it a little bit longer. There we go, and I got about 2.5 to 3 inches of dubbing on there. Now I have to go back there a little bit. I'm actually going to put a wrap under the tail. And don't pull real hard here, but you want to snug it. And you get that first wrap right there, and you're not going to have any threads showing. Then we're going to bring this up. And we're going to stop it just behind the wing. Then I'm going to take the wing and I'm going to stand that up. This is almost a wolf even. Now I can take that poly wing and divide it. Going to just grab it, and it's pretty easy to divide them with a poly wing. Go ahead and grab about half to each side. If you have to, you could use your bodkin needle to help you divide them. I'm going to grab that far wing because I'm pushing it down. And just give that a little bit of a figure 8 there. I'm squeezing them back together. I got one piece of polyester hanging out the back there. Now I'm going to take a Grizzly hackle and a ginger hackle, which I'm using my furnace because it's mostly ginger. I'm going to stand them up, and I'm going to give them the crew cut. Just stand them up at the 90 degree. And cut nice and close to the stem on both sides. Take the Grizzly. I peeled a couple off, but I still have some on the bottom there. Give that the crew cut. And the reason you make these crew cuts so the thread has something to hold on to. I'm going to put them together. And I'm actually going to put these together, spoon in them. Putting concave side to convex side. I'm going to put them right down the center of the wings, and you're going to leave a little bit of the crew cut exposed. And we're going to take a loose loop, and we're going to hold this pretty tight. We're going to pull it straight down and give it a little tug, because if you do it a little bit loose, what's going to happen is you're going to push that far wing away from you. Then I'm going to lift those wings, and I'm going to tie it in the front. And I like to put a little bit heavier on the head right there, and then bring your thread to about the middle distance between the wing and the eye. Now these are saddle hackles, and they're about 8 inches long, so I can do them both at the same time. Now that first half a wrap there's no hackle sticking out towards the back. That's because we kept a couple barbels of the crew cut exposed. And then they stand up nicely at that 90 degree. I'm going to put a second wrap. Yep, let me get that. Okay, I'm going to back that off because it was splitting there on me. Go to the first one. Go to a second wrap. Now you can see I'm pushing the wing forward there a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to grab the wing and I'm going to hold it back, and then I'm going to rub the wing with the hackle. And by rubbing the wing with the hackle, what that's doing is it's going to close that gap that you would normally have of the wing on the far side of your fly. Let's give it a couple more wraps right in front. I'm going to hold this, the hackle, I'm going to hold that at a good 90 degree, and then you bring your thread around and try to keep that thread basically at that 90 degree also. And what that's going to do is to prevent you from having too many barbels going to the front. Then I could go ahead and I could pull this all back, stick my finger, gonna put a couple of wraps in front. Well, I got a couple barbels sticking out towards the front there, but we'll take care of that. First, I'm going to take my cuticle trimmer, and I get a couple more wraps right in front. Get that closer to the hackle stems itself. There we go. Cleaned up most of them. Take your cuticle trimmer, aka poke and snip, and poke and snip away. Now I got a couple of, just a couple hackle fibers or barbels sticking forward. I'm going to take my half-inch tool once, twice, you could even go 3 times. I roll it as I go up. Now push those barbels back. And what you just did is essentially made a 3-turn half-hitch. Once, twice, 3 times. Roll it. The reason I roll it is so it doesn't get loose on you. Hold that right close, right to the base of that hackle. And there we go, we have a nice head right there. Now I could tug that a little bit tight. I'm going to poke and snip that thread off. I can take my wing and kind of divide that back out again. We'll go ahead and take a little bit of head cement, cleaning my brush off very well. And then I find the right angle to get in there. There we go. And here we have a polywing Adams. This is going to float really well. It's actually going to float just a little better than the hackle tip Adams because we have polywing on there, and its polywing itself is going to float the hook. But I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. If you'd like to purchase any flies I make, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And most of all, I thank you very much for watching my videos.